What's up, good people? I hope you're doing extremely well, and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about something that I think is very important, something that I feel is going to help a lot of people navigate some things in their businesses and really just help a lot of people get a grasp on how to start and run a business the right way. So I want to talk about the worst mistakes that you can make in business. And just to give you some context, I'm sitting here right now inside of one of the businesses that my wife and I own in downtown Atlanta called Mocha Pops. It is a popsicle slash coffee bar that we conceived of. We conceived of back in 2015, and we've been pretty successful at this particular business. But I want to tell you that before this business, we made a lot of mistakes in a lot of other business ventures and learned a lot of things in the process. And I want to be able to share that knowledge with you so that you don't make those mistakes, or at least you can put yourself in a place where you can see those things coming as they're happening and get around some of the things that are catastrophic to business. And there are some mistakes that you can make that are really catastrophic to your business, whatever your business is. I know different businesses go through different things. And different businesses have different cycles and different requirements to be successful. But there are some core things that I feel that we can discuss to help you navigate some of those those core things, those core mistakes that a lot of people make, that most people make. So let's get right into those things right now. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is the mistake of not understanding your core customer. And this really revolves around you doing your research and understanding your core market of what you're going into. I know a lot of times we as entrepreneurs or business owners or people just wanting to go into business, a lot of times what we do is we come up with an idea, we have an idea for something, or we see something that we can do, we think that we can do that can make money, and we just go full-fledged, trying to get that thing or bring that into fruition. And a lot of times what we miss is that we miss that customer understanding component of it, and we really don't do our research to understand if what we are bringing to market or what we're trying to bring to market has a customer base, or even has a customer base in the region that we're in. Because a lot of times you may see something that you see is profitable or lucrative for someone else, and it may be that that particular thing is lucrative and profitable in another region or in another state or in another city that has nothing to do with where you are. And it can be very difficult to start out on that path and do all of the things that make sense to do to get that business or that idea to a point of completion or to a point of launch, and then discover that, hey, wait a minute, I don't have any customers for this. There's no demand for what I'm doing. So one of the first things you have to do, and it's hard, for creative people. This is even harder for creative people because we're used to creating, and that's one of the problems that I had early on, is that I was very good at creating products, creating ideas, creating, new things that, to bring to market, but not understanding that what I needed to do first was really to find a problem and then figure out how I could solve that problem with all of the other things, all of the other skill sets and all of the other things that I could bring to the table. And that's really the core. That's, if I could tell you anything, that's really the core to having a successful business and being able to start a successful business on the right foot. If you find a problem that you can solve in your specific area or region, something that is close to you that you can solve and put your hands on, put your hands on the people who need that problem solved, whether it be online or whatever. If you could do that first, it really takes you a long way to being on the right path in having a business that's going to be successful. So that's the first thing. Really nailing that down or not doing that is a mistake that most business owners make. The ones that don't survive in the business that they're starting, that is a common mistake that we make. We really don't define what the customer is or what the people that we're actually selling the product to is. We don't define those things well enough on the front end. Now, the next common problem that I see is not really developing your value proposition around your product. And what I mean by that is, you can have a product that is a great product and you can put that product in front of the right people. But if they don't understand what your value proposition is or how that product is different from any other thing that they've already seen in that vein, it becomes a hard sell for people because they have a disconnect between the value of that thing that they're looking at and them wanting to pull money out of their pocket and pay for it. So you really have to clearly define your value proposition as soon as you can and tell your potential customer what differentiates you between all of the other things out there. What makes you special, what makes people need to buy into what you're offering on any level. And usually what it revolves around, and if you can get this right, it really works. Usually what it revolves around is you giving or providing something for the customer that they need, really answering that question that is inside of them. Sometimes it goes back to understanding what the problem is, understanding that here's a problem that I can solve for this person. You really have to define why you're doing what you're doing and why it's important for your potential customer. And again, that's a mistake that a lot of business owners make, and it's one that you can solve. It's a problem that you can solve, and if you can solve it, just having this information about it puts you light years ahead of most people, because people don't think about it until they're already immersed in overhead and already immersed in their business and in the throes of trying to make their business survive, and they don't see those things until that point where you're getting to survival mode with your business, and you want to stay out of survival mode with your business as much as possible. And one key way to do that, leads me to the other disastrous thing that you can do in your business is having too much overhead, taking on too much overhead. And I know this is something that a lot of new business owners get caught up in. Specifically if you are in the brick and mortar space, or whatever product you're bringing to the market has a really high overhead margin, and it can be something that has a huge profit potential. But if the overhead is too high and you can't facilitate that overhead with the current profit margin that you're making, you can really get into trouble really quickly with the business that you're trying to bring to the market. So it's very important that you understand that it's okay to be frugal in your business when you're starting it out. It's okay to, understand that this is quality, but this is something that I don't need to pay for. Just because it costs more doesn't make it something that is going to be beneficial for my business. And you really have to understand that and pay attention to that, because it's very easy to get caught up in the, overhead loop is what I like to call it, where you're spending all of this money to make your business look like it's something, but it's not really turning a profit. So make sure that you're not doing that in your business, and pay attention to those things that are small and big that are costing you money, and really put those things in perspective. Whenever you're spending money on anything in your business, ask yourself this question: is what I'm doing going to bring in more revenue than it's costing me to do? And if you constantly give yourself that measurement and that thought process, you will always win in terms of profitability of your business, and you will stay out of that overhead loop long enough for your business to go into the black, or to go into the profit, or go into the green. And another thing that really runs in line with this, which is another big mistake you can make in your business, is not charging enough for whatever goods and services that you're offering. This happens a lot with new business owners, because a lot of times we don't understand the value of what we're offering, specifically for people who are coming from, a mindset of working as an employee for another company. If you are in the employee mindset, it's kind of hard sometimes to get your mind around, the profitability of what you're doing, because you're used to working for a set amount of money per hour. You may be thinking, oh, I have to make at least, $100 an hour, and you're fixated on that hourly rate even in your business, and you're not thinking about all the other things that you have to pay for. You're not calculating all the things that, are overhead in your business that you have to pay for, and really setting your pricing according to those things and what you ultimately want to make and what your customer will pay for. Because that's the other part of it. A lot of times we don't understand, what is the real value of this to my customer? What will my customer really pay for this, and how do they feel about this good or service in terms of value and what they can afford? You really have to put some eggs in that basket and really understand that, and have a real clear picture of that if you want to be profitable in your business and not get into the space where, yes, you have a business and you're running your business, but you're not charging enough. So you're constantly chasing your payroll, constantly chasing your cash flow and all those things because you're not charging enough for the goods and services that you're offering. And lastly, a huge mistake that is, kind of the summary of that is not paying attention to or even caring about bookkeeping at all in your business. And this happens more often than you would think, and more often than any of us would care to really talk about. But it's one of those things that, especially for people who are creatively inclined or who have, businesses that are driven more by creative processes, we tend to not think about the whole bookkeeping aspect of what we're doing and just have this, oh no, I know where all these things are. And what happens is, yes, you may know where all these things are. You may know where your cash flow is. You may know how much money you're spending, your overhead. You may know all those things, but you keeping those things just in your head won't allow your business to grow. Because there, at some point, it's going to be too much for you to just store in your mind. So bookkeeping is very important in that respect. You have to have systems in place to really track your spending and track what's going on in your business from a dollars and cents perspective, so that you're not having to think about those things or not having to focus on those things, and they are just happening in the background while you're focused on the things that you're good at. And that's something that I want to add, as kind of a bonus. You want to be able to focus on the things that you are good at in your business. Even if you are good at all of the things in your business, you want to be able to get to the point where you can scale those things and get those things from you just doing them to other people doing them, because that's the whole point. Scalability, if you're looking to grow and be profitable in any business, you want to get to a point of scalability so that you're not just the sole person that has all of the knowledge base or the sole person that's doing all of the work. Because if you are that in your business, eventually you're going to get to the point where you're not going to grow, or you're going to get to the point of burnout, and your business is not going to be able to transition from a small business to a mid-sized business to a larger business. And you may not want to do that. That may not be your ultimate goal. But if it is your goal to grow in your business and grow at what you're doing, and it be something that can turn into either passive income or, financial freedom or a revenue engine in whatever way you want to look at it, if that is your goal, you have to understand the process of transitioning, it from just something that you're doing all of these tasks, to something that you can pass off to others. And a key component of that is really understanding, bookkeeping and how the money flow works in your business, because that cash flow, the cash flow in your business, is really the core of what's going to allow you to do all of those other things. And real quick, if you found value in anything we've talked about in this video, please do consider dropping a like on this video, because it does help out for the YouTube algorithm. And, consider subscribing if this is your first time to the channel. We do have a lot of content on the channel that talks about these principles in more detail. And I hope this was extremely helpful for someone. And until we talk again, I wish you health, wealth, and freedom.